Welcome back to The Takeout. Thanks for hanging out with us. Tennessee Republican Lamar Alexander served as a U.S. Senator, Governor, Secretary of Education, ran for president in 1996 and 2000. He chronicles 6 decades in public life in his new book, The Education of a Senator, From JFK to Trump. Lamar Alexander joins me now. Senator, you retired just days before the Capitol riot and write in the book about returning to the Capitol days later. How did that affect you and how you viewed President Trump?
Well, going back turned my stomach. I mean, I served there 18 years, and I walked back in 3 days after the rioters tried to keep Joe Biden from being elected president, and I saw the shattered glass, I saw the doors broken, and it reminded me that in our country, George Washington said the most important election of our new country was not the first one, but the second one, the peaceful transfer of power from one to another. And I was shocked by what I saw.
Do you believe there has been a concerted effort within your party to rewrite the history of that day? And in that light, how do you regard this weaponization compensation fund that is being attempted to be stood up by the Trump Justice Department?
Well, this fund's over. It smells pretty fishy to me. I mean, it's Trump suing Trump, and then Trump settling with Trump, and then taking taxpayer funds and distributing it to friends of President Trump. I've never heard of anything quite like that before, and I hope it doesn't happen.
How do you regard what Senate Republicans either have or have not done within the body of the United States Senate to check what is quite clearly an aggressive application, and some might argue, and certainly scholars have, expansion of presidential powers in this second Trump term?
Well, the expansion's been going on for a long time,
Sure.
But in the first Trump term, I mean, I was one of those who stood up to the president from time to time when we disagreed with him. I remember when he tried to use $3.6 billion of money we appropriated for military barracks and for schools for military children. He wanted to use that to build the wall. There were 22 of us who said, no, that's not right, Mr. President. 12 of us voted against that. The resolution passed saying that was wrong. He vetoed it, but the court stopped him on that. I'd like to see the Republican senators assert themselves more. I mean, if I were there today, I think I'd organize a bipartisan breakfast, and we would read Article 1 of the Constitution to each other. I mean, the Congress has all the power over taxes, all the power over tariffs, has the right to declare war, all the power over spending, and the president really needs the advice of Republican senators. He should welcome that advice.
How do you regard the defeat last Saturday of Bill Cassidy, Republican senator from Louisiana, and now the president's endorsement of Ken Paxton in the Texas runoff Tuesday against sitting Republican Senator John Cornyn?
I know both those senators, and they're excellent senators. It's hard for me to see what the president's strategy is in not endorsing John Cornyn. I mean, he's respected, he's a leader, he's conservative, he voted with President Trump 99% of the time. It's hard for me to see how the president's going to get his agenda through the Senate in the next 7 months if he keeps purging Republican senators who support him. So perhaps Senator Cornyn will be reelected.
And in the meantime, Senator Cornyn and Senator Cassidy might join Tom Tillis, Republican senator from North Carolina, also not seeking reelection, as a kind of flank against the Trump legislative agenda in many matters, because they're now freed up. They don't have to prove themselves. They don't have to submit to the daily loyalty test for the president and the White House. And they might have different ideas and might exercise some of that muscle you're talking about.
Well, I think it would be a good idea. For example, I think the Republican senators should say to the president, Mr. President, ask us to pass a resolution authorizing you to remove nuclear weapons from Iran. Use force if necessary. Ask us to do that. We'll give that to you. President Bush did that before the Gulf War, and then the second President Bush did that twice. In the first Gulf War, President Bush not only got the Senate to support him, he got other allies to support him. They paid for the war. I think the president is doing something that some American president eventually is going to have to do, use force to keep Iran from having a nuclear weapon. He'd be better off if he had the support of the Senate, and Republican senators ought to say that to him.
Before I let you go, Senator, what you just described is not that aggressive an approach Why don't Senate Republicans make those asks of this White House? Why do you think they are so timid about this exercising of constitutionally defined legislative powers?
Well, I don't want to speak for them. I can just speak for myself. And I worked with President Trump a lot in his first term. I disagreed with him on tariffs and taxes. I voted against him on war powers and some other things, but I always did it with respect. We had a good relationship. He didn't criticize me publicly. I didn't criticize him publicly. I didn't think I was elected to make a catalog of all the things about his behavior I disagreed with. I thought I was elected and he was elected, and that we should try to work together when we could. So we did. And I think Republican senators will find that they can say what they think, and the country will be better off if they do.
The book, The Education of a Senator, From JFK to Trump. Lamar Alexander, been a pleasure, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Major.